A listener wrote me, "Hi, Summer. I've already contacted a life coach this week because I want to understand what's preventing me from having a relationship. They've never worked for me, and I'm feeling like it's too late. I didn't follow my career passion either, and I got sidetracked for decades. How can one start over at 57? Well, first of all, thank you for reaching out and asking, because you have inspired today's episode. We're talking about it never being too late. You can always transform. You can always start over. There is no time test where, bing, time is up. In other words, this is episode number 3 of Me School, called It's Never Too Late. Me School is just what it sounds like, a ride into you and how to feel happier, wiser, and more self-aware in every way. It's your ultimate journey into personal growth and inner power. We'll explore ideas like how your energy self influences the kinds of opportunities you encounter, or how your personal growth can drive your business growth, or even how that feeling of being stuck is really always coming from something else. We just have to figure out what. That's right. We're a dash of woo-woo, a sprinkle of self-care, a heap of problem-solving and pattern-busting, and a giant cup of encouragement. We're going to relight so much passion, purpose, self-love, and confidence in you that you practically stagger. I'm Summer McStravick, your host, and welcome to Me School. So maybe you're thinking, I'm not 57. Maybe I'm 67. Maybe I'm 37. First things first, don't get hung up on your age. I know that's maybe one of the biggest things that we're going to unpack here today. Age is a factor, but it's sure not the only one. I regularly talk with people who are 45, 55. I point out to them, I'm like, you're literally halfway through your life. You're at the 50% mark and you're giving up now? I mean, you're just hitting your stride. And we then go in and kind of deconstruct this whole thing like, yeah, but it's all supposed to be wrapped up by the time I'm 60. 59 and a half, 65, whenever Social Security kicks in. And I go, no. What do you think you're going to do between 50 and 70, between 60 and 80? We're talking decades that you fill with pleasure, right? You don't just fill it with, bridge games and golf and I don't know, whatever older people are going to do in the next 30 years. Probably not either one of those. So I want us to begin today with some ideas about what it means to reinvent yourself, to not be too old, especially to reinvent yourself. And I spent a lot of time as I was putting together the program notes for today, thinking, this is an ideal time. I can get a career coach in here and they can tell you exactly how to reinvent yourself. And I said, whoa, I don't know. And that's when I realized today we're answering a really different question than most other episodes and articles and blogs that you read about this. This is not how do I reinvent myself. This is can I reinvent myself? And this is an area where, well, it's my expertise. Reinvention, transformation, becoming that new being that you are, freeing yourself and allowing yourself to do it age irrelevant. I mean, just think right now, however old you are, pretend you have no idea how old you are. Just close your eyes for a second and think, I have no idea how old I am. I mean, I know I'm an adult, perhaps. That'd be good. But I don't know how old I am. Oh my God, what would happen? What would you immediately plunge into? Would you go back to college? Would you get that degree? Would you immediately quit your job and say, nah, I'm going to do something else? Would your mind just release this big attachment to a number and instead say, I want to be a travel writer. I want to be a full-time referee. I want to go into architecture and design. I want to open my own business. Imagine for a second, you don't know how old you are. You could be 24, you could be 38, you could be 62. You don't know. Doesn't matter. Right there. I mean, that is the aha, right? We're starting with that. We're plunging in today's episode feet first. You don't know how old you are. Therefore, you cannot talk yourself out of whatever you want to become based on this artificial idea called age. Okay, some of you are sitting there right now and you're saying, but summer age is really a thing. It would take me 10 years to get back through college again. By then I'd be 70. La, 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 la. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share with you some really inspiring people who basically forgot how old they were and said, I'm ready to do this. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to give you something you can do right now, besides the thing I just told you to do, where you can start to release and really let yourself think, what would I be? Can I do it? And I'm going to give you a little process that can take you to yes, from a maybe, or I doubt it, or I want it, but I don't think so, to, oh my God, yes. Why haven't I done this already? That's where I want you to be. Let's start with someone I knew well, Louise Hay. She wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life. She was my boss for a good decade. I worked for her and her publishing company. And I always remember her story. I mean, everybody who works there knew it. Now, Louise passed away at 90 a few years ago. But you know what? She was 58, although some accounts say 60, when she wrote her book, You Can Heal Your Life, the one that sold 50 million copies. She was practically 60, if not. And she wasn't an author. She hadn't built up this huge publishing career. She transformed. She became a being who spoke to the world. She started her own publishing house in 1984. She was, again, I think 58. I mean, can you imagine that? I'm going to start my own publishing house. I'm 58. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never worked for another publishing house. Let's see what we do, folks. And she did. That's pretty damn inspirational. I remember that all the time. How about another writer? Anybody here read Little House on the Prairie? Right? Those books, Laura Ingalls Wilder's. Do you know how old she was? Do you know her history before that? She used to be a school teacher and she admitted that she didn't really like it. I guess it's what you did back in, 1910. Then she worked for farms and began writing for farm journals and helping farmers get loans. And then when she was 65 years old, she wrote Little House on the Prairie, a book I read, in the 70s and the 80s, almost 50 years later. Maybe your kids have read it. Maybe you've read them. Think about that. 65. She said, I'm going to write about this. And she wasn't thinking, I'm not young and popular and they won't find me and they won't like it. And who do I think? I'm going to keep going. There's more. There's so many. And maybe you didn't realize this. Maybe you didn't realize, and please don't think, oh, these are very famous people. They're obviously much more talented than I am. Oh no, these are just the ones that catch the headlines. There are multitudes, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who didn't make the headlines, but still reinvented themselves into fabulous and wonderful careers. Do you guys know who Grandma Moses is? She's an American folk artist. She began painting at 77, right? She charged about $3, $5 for every painting. Eventually, it went to about $10,000 a painting by the time she died in 1962. She was 101. One of her paintings in 2006 sold for $1.36 million at Christie's. And you want to know what? She was a folk art painter, no formal painting skills. She did something she loved, and she did a ton of it. And the winds swept her into her passion and allowed it to become public and big. I know we're sticking with a lot of artists here, but I do have one more because, it's a kind of personal favorite for me. Bram Stoker. Yes, I have a goth side. Some of you know that. I am a reformed goth of many decades. Bram Stoker. Do you know how old he was when he published Dracula? He was 50. I mean, he didn't have that much to his name at that point. A few things, little short stories and stuff, but basically he managed a theater. He was a theater manager. And he said, I have a story to tell. So if you're that writer, if you're thinking, I don't have the education, I don't have this, I don't have that. If you're that artist and you've been sidelining this your whole life, again, please don't think these are the exceptions to the rule. They're not. They're just the most well-known people of the rule. But they are not the 1 in a million. There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands making perfect, lovely, well enough to live more than they need to live well livings, having completely changed themselves up. Okay, I've got a few more because I can feel you like right now and you're saying, yeah, but how do we do that? I don't have time for this anymore. I have bills to pay, Summer. Hold on, I've got two more. One of them I thought was just silly because I should throw a bone to the business world. You guys know Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, as it's now called. Well, that fellow's name was Harold Sanders. And he did so many jobs before he was 50. He was a farmer, a fireman, a streetcar conductor, an insurance salesman, and then he started a little restaurant making chicken. Yeah. And then, poof, it caught fire. And he passed away, an extremely wealthy man. Last one. Guy you've never heard of before, maybe. Oh, maybe some of you guys in Britain have. His name is Tom Allen. He is Britain's oldest yoga instructor. He's over 90. I sure hope the guy is still around, actually. I didn't check that. But I hope. Let's just give a little prayer to Tom because he didn't start doing yoga until his mid-50s. Mid-50s. And he's huge now. He is just a light bringer to everybody who's older, wanting to change their bodies, change their experience of life and themselves and their world. And I was thinking about Tom, thinking, did he sit around saying, oh man, I'm 56 years old. Who's going to want to learn yoga from me? There's all these other yoga companies out there. There's all these yoga teachers and they're all young and slim and fit and healthy. And here I am and I'm just trying to figure this out. And did he say, no one's going to want to learn from me? Now, you know what? Turns out a lot of people wanted to learn from Tom. So frame this, hold these people in your mind. But like I said, don't look at them like, they're exceptions to the rule. I want you to see them as just the top of the bell curve to the rule. And there are so many unsung stories. When I was researching today's topic, you guys just plug it into Google. Reinventing yourself after 50, changing jobs and careers in midlife. The number of references are outrageous. AARP even weighs in, and they give people's very common stories. People shifting from working at Fortune 500, companies to now becoming teachers and getting accreditations, and just all across the board. Yes, it can be done. So what pops up, though, is if you can get to the point of, can I do it? Maybe you're willing to nudge yourself to say, yes, I can. But then here it comes. I'm going to reference now episode number 1, where we talked about lack thinking, right? Episode number 1 of this show. Please go back, listen to it. Talked about how to get all your negative thoughts to go away and recognize when they're creeping in. Because after you say, can I do it? And you say, yes, there comes a but. Yes, but. Yes, but. And here's the but. But I'm going to lose something. I'm going to lose stability. I'm going to lose income. I'm going to lose time. I'm gonna foresee and feel an era, perhaps of months or years of instability, of clinging, of having to be the low person on the totem pole, of not being where I want or should be at this point in my life. Right? That's the big thing that pops up. Or I won't have time for this. I'm already tired enough. I got 2 kids in college to support. I've got, my partner who's unemployed. I've got my mom, my dad to take care of and pay for their medical. And I know the list. This is the list I call that traps us, the trap us list. The trap us list. We all have one. You have one, I have one. Everybody has a trap myself list. Isn't that a funny thought? It's true, though. The thing is, some of us look at the trap us list and say, why do I think this is necessarily going to be the way it plays out? Because going back again to, how do you remove those negative thoughts? How do you get rid of that lack thinking? The first thing you're going to do is say, I need to ask myself if what I believe is actually true. What happens if I take some steps toward this reinvention? To my dear listener who inspired this show, what happens if you say, I'm going to plunge into a career that I love, and I'm just going to do it? Oh my God. Can you imagine the sound of the heavenly doors swinging open, the angels singing, the birds tweeting in the sunlight? Life is saying, oh my God, they've released themselves from a rigid space where their energy is completely tied into why it can't happen. They've let that go. They've dropped those heavy cement bags of feeling, and now they're saying it's possible. You can almost feel the lightness that envelops you, that envelops us. I want you to think about that, right? That's called a pregnant pause right there. I want you to think about that. Half of the battle. I know I say this a lot, but half of the battle is saying, yes, I can. And then how? So here is how that looks. Yes, I can. And then, here comes the resistance. That list that I just mentioned. And then comes the next critical, absolutely critical moment. It's when you look at that list of why you can't, and you say, what if I'm totally wrong about all this? What if I don't even know how old I am? What if I drop that? What if I let myself get into the feelings of, I don't know how old I am? Which means that I'm kind of free. Age is not a factor. So what is a factor? Maybe my bills, responsibilities. Okay. What if I can change myself, change my career, change my direction, change my calling, and it's not something that's difficult, burdensome, expensive, that leaves me in a lesser place where I've got to move back home with my 90-year-old mom. Oh, what if instead it can be natural and fluid? What if the moment I start dipping my toes into this, the universe, life, slams toward me all of these gorgeous and amazing opportunities, things it's been holding back for me until I was open to receive them? What if, in fact, that is the case? Go back here to Louise Hay for just a second. When she wrote that book, it was at a moment when the whole world, remember, we were in the middle of the AIDS crisis. Does this sound eerily similar to the pandemic today? There were people who were hurting, who were marginalized. People were angry. Society had split into two different camps. There was us and there was them. And she stepped in and said, hey, yeah, we got to love each other, okay? You have to love yourself first and then love other people. And everybody just stopped in their tracks, a bunch of meerkats standing up in the savannah, and we listened. And it was right. Imagine if she had said, oh, I can't write a book now. I'm too old. No one's going to listen. It's too hard. There's too many other books out there. Why would anybody listen to me? Especially because I'm championing a community of people that aren't particularly liked right now. Oh, this is going to be an uphill battle. What if she had said that? Things would be different for 50 million of her readers right now. The national dialogue on, hey, you should love yourself. Hey, you should accept yourself. You should embrace yourself, your identity, your gender, whoever, whatever you are. You embrace that. You love that down to the bottom of your toes. What if you did that? What if you had no reason to discriminate on yourself anymore? Can you see how the movement we're looking at today, 40 years later, had a little bit of perhaps origin in this message? Can you imagine if the thing that you want to reinvent yourself into maybe won't become such a huge, worldwide phenomenon, but maybe it's big enough? That's all you're asking for. I just want it to be big enough to support me, to support my family, to support my needs, to support my retirement, whatever it may be. And I want it to fill my heart. What if the world is sitting there waiting on me like they were waiting for that book from her, the right message at the right time? What if I am offering something even maybe simple? A friend of mine moved a few years ago. Now, she wasn't 50 yet, but, mid-40s. She moved completely out of PR, a very high-profile PR position. She could have gotten paid bonkers well into the future. And she said, no, I'm going to help elderly people find the resources they need. I'm going to move into elder care. And you know what? She is her own successful business owner. She did it. She's doing great. That is an example of getting enough. Because the bigger thing here is the flame in your heart. The bigger thing that I want you to feel right now is, what if you are 40 or 50? What if you are 30? You've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. What are you going to fill it with? And, so many of us today are saying things like, I don't even think I want to retire. What is retirement? Like, rethink retirement. It's no longer just living on that, golf course in Florida. Our retirement is, I'm traveling around in an RV and writing blog posts and getting residual income off of, my ad spots. I want to stay involved. I want to stay part of things. I want to give myself to something that I love and enjoy. I want to fill my time with something that's pleasurable. And believe me, I'd love to be with my family full time, but I don't think they want me camped out with them, 11 out of 12 months of the year saying, come over and visit your old mom. My family's busy, so what am I going to do? Please get this in your mind. You are maybe 40% of the way through your career, maybe 50%. Which brings up another objection. But I've put so much into this. I'm good at this. I'll be well paid for this. Nothing else, will recognize the experience that I've built up. My answer? Har, so what? Did you know that Julia Child, she wrote her cookbook when she was like 47. Before that, she had tried to go to chef school, and they basically said she wasn't good enough for the fancy school in Paris. They wouldn't even let her continue. And she said, well, I'm going to just write a cookbook anyway, see what happens. And then again, people said, wow, you are an inspiration. Yours is the cookbook. Yours is the personality. You speak to me. So before you disqualify yourself, because probably that's a big part of what's been going on, you're disqualifying yourself based on this claptrap clatter of voices of quote, society. And you know what? All those people, they really don't have any bearing on you. They don't know you. They don't know your vision. They don't know your ideas. They don't know your heart. They don't know what you're capable of. That's just their talk that they tell each other all the time. Don't do this. Hold yourself back. It won't work. You know what? You don't have to be part of that. You don't have to believe that. You can go right back into that space, into you, in yourself, where you say, I can do this. I want to do this, and I'm going to allow myself to approach this. And again, we're circling back to that key point. Remember when I said, after you say, I can do it, there's a moment where you leap. It's sort of like your no going back moment. You guys ever had that feeling before, that no going back moment? I remember some. Do I dare share those? I remember my no going back moment when I said, honey, it's time to start a family and have a baby. And after that, it was like, whoo, there's no going back from that. Right? There's can't step back from that big one. I do at the altar. No going back from that. I mean, in theory, yes, but no. Committing to your college choice, no going back from that. There's a feeling in us when we say, okay, I'm going to do this. And all the fear that's been sizzling up our sides suddenly goes, and it releases. It's like we got past it. I call this, in me school, I call it jumping off the fear cliff. The moments leading up to the cliff, standing on the edge of the cliff, paralyzing, terrifying. But the minute you dive into that sweet, cool, blue water below, you feel exhilarated. You feel free. You feel the rush of possibility sweep over you. That's what I want you to feel. Deciding to change midlife, it doesn't have to be this laborious process of thinking and overthinking, rationalizing, over-rationalizing, figuring out the numbers, figuring out whether you should, what would be the best, will they want me? You know what? I know a lot of us have already done all that mental, convoluting cartwheel. So I want you to get into the feeling instead. What if you say yes? I'm going to share with you something that I have played with. I have something called magic phrases that I give to my clients and students. And really what they are these encapsulations of ideas or feelings that are just really potent. They strike me every time I say them or feel them. One of them that I've been playing with goes like this. Pretend for a week that my job is now blank, and blank is now my hobby. All right, one more time. Pretend for a week that blank is my job, and blank is my hobby. Pretend for a week that selling, cross-stitchery on Etsy is my job, and tax prep is my hobby. Pretend for a week that landscape design is my job, and working for the government at the DMV is my hobby. This is a great way to begin that mental emotional shift. I take sticky notes. Post-it notes should underwrite this show because I'm literally staring at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them right now, taped on my desk, all around my computer. I'm staring at one that has that actual phrase on it. I have been using that phrase as I play with ideas about what do I want to evolve into and become. Until you make the emotional mental leap that yes, you can, everything else is stuck behind it. It's like a traffic jam on the freeway. It's the jackknifed truck. You got to get that sucker moving, freed, flowing. Everything else in your life then can then push in behind it. And that's where that other idea comes in that I gave you a few minutes ago. What if it's not going to be hard or a chore or take forever? I'll give you another example. Because you guys, you're going to get to know me in the course of this show. I'm trying to be very revealing, which is something I've taught myself over the years, not to be scared to share a bit about me and my thoughts as I move through my own transformation. I was looking lately at, most of my work, it feels like it's therapy. It feels like psychology. I'm fascinated by it. Everything I read is science and nature journals and psychological and behavioral analysis. I love this stuff. Why didn't I go and get my psych degree? And I've looked at it. I'm like, okay, I can get a degree. I can get that popped out in 2 years. No big deal. I'll be 52 by the time it's over. Not too bad. Especially when I think, I've got another 20, 30 years. Sure, that's a good deal. But then it says to practice, you have to have 3 years of clinical experience, 40 hours a week, working at a pretty much entry-level wage. And that's where I go, oh my God, I can't do that. I have companies to run. I have books to write. I have clients to serve. I don't need that. That's what I needed when I was maybe, 25. But I don't need that now. So my mind has got hung up on that, thinking, maybe I can't transform into that. Maybe that won't work. But here's the thing. Another part of me says, hey, if that seems to be the route that would be really good, something will come along. Something will happen. Someone will say something. I'll run across something. Life will offer up to me a little pearl that says, oh no, there's another route. Oh yeah, you can do it this way instead. Oh yeah. And I am fully open to that. When will this happen? I have no idea. But I'm also not pushing it, right? I'm pushing other things right now in my life, like starting this new show for you. Because this is also giving me an opportunity to reach out into the world and explore things and talk to experts about us and how we work and how we get better in ourselves. Right? So I'm already on the path. That's just one idea. My point in telling it to you is a part of me wants to shut it down because I got to know. No, you got 5 years and you're going to have to give up your career, which would be kind of silly because I'm already impacting quite a few people and I wouldn't want to stop that. So instead, what I'm saying is, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm really curious. I wonder. Do you have something like that right now in your transformation that stopped you dead in your tracks? You're like, I can't because, this thing. Again, I can. Not how do I, but can I? Can I? Yes. How? Well, going to be a lot of ways. Let's find out. And the minute you say I can and you jump off that diving board, you pull that trigger, your life rearranges itself around you. Your thoughts that you begin putting out into the world stream on a whole different bandwidth, a whole different way, a whole different place. The things that you begin connecting with, the people, the ideas, they shift and change in response. Remember, you are the pivot point. You're the moment. You're the thing that life is revolving around. You're the sun and life is the planets. It starts inside of you. As soon as you say, yes, I commit. I am pivoting. I am changing careers. I am reinventing myself. And by the way, to go back to my lovely listener again who sent this question, we're talking a lot about career and life purpose and what we do for a living. I haven't even mentioned, can I have a loving, happy relationship? Same goes for this. Yeah. You're only halfway through, my dear. Why would you think it's impossible? Just because you saw other people get married when they were 28? How many of them do you know who are divorced? How many, right? I mean, your time is your time. It will come when it comes. And if you say, I can, and I will, and I want, and this is so deep in my heart, this want is so full in me, it's something I refuse to give up, that I refuse to let despair take from me. Oh God, that's powerful. Powerful. So that is what I want to leave you with today. I can. I can change. It is never too old. It is not the exception to the rule to do this. Please erase that. Hunt down on the internet, Google people who changed after 50, people who changed after 60. You're going to get thousands of search results. And it's going to get harder and harder for you to say, oh, well, I thought you had to be special. I thought you had to be famous. I thought you had to be, and I'm not that. You need to pull that thought out from under your own feet. You know what? Nobody else is going to do it for you. I'm trying my hardest right now, but I know I can't do it for you. You're the only one who can pull that thought out from you. And if you want to cling on to it, if you want to hold on to it for dear life like a lifeboat, it's not your lifeboat. It's the weight on your ankle that's actually sinking you down. Holding on to that feeling is giving you nothing. The only thing it's doing is tamping down your fear by telling you, no, you can't, wouldn't have worked anyway. That's all it's doing. It's just holding you in place. And if you are held in place like this, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, who will you become? Are you going to love that person? Are you going to like that person? Are they going to be the gift to the world that you want to be as you give yourself to others? Now, I know I've laid into you here. This is my tough love summer coming out. But this is truth. You will make the change to say, I can. I can. I can. Remember, the careers that people start when they're 20 or 30, they often don't work out either. They often drop them. They move on, one thing to the next to the next. Hey, maybe this has been you. Maybe you're still doing it. So to say to yourself, I've got to be a big success if I shift, that's BS. There's no guarantees. There never has been. So why should that stop you now? And once you understand that it can't and it shouldn't, then please, by all means, go through your finances and your money and your long-term planning and figure out, I can start to cut back here and devote more time to this education, or leap over here and volunteer at this place that I'm interested in. I mean, you'll find the practical means to do it. And there are so many places online, so many career coaches who are willing to help you make the shift. But you've got to know you can do it. That's not the hard part. You can do it, and you will do it. The hard part is saying yes to it. The hard part is for you to say, I'm tired of longing for this thing, and telling myself, no, I can't. So again, as we close up today's episode, just feel for a few minutes. What if you didn't know how old you were? What would you do? What if you had no idea? What if all the skills and abilities you've built up behind you were washed away? Nobody knew about them. They're gone. You can't even put them on a resume. What if? You would feel free. You'd feel free. You'd take some juicy, weighty chances. You'd bite on things that maybe you feel like you can't now. You would do it. I'm going to leave you with one last thought. It's this. All these things that you've learned how to do in your life, whatever career you've been in, you're tempted to see yourself as that. I am a painter. I am a business owner. I work in healthcare. All my skills are there. It's what I do. It's who I am. And you think to change, to leap out into something completely different, my experience wouldn't be relevant. I wouldn't have what people are looking for or they need. I want you to shift for a second. When you say, I work in healthcare, it's not the businesses that you've worked for, the actual job skills. I know how to use this computer program and that and blah, blah, blah. What has your job really taught you? And you might say things like, it taught me how to work in a big bureaucracy. I've learned how to navigate through loopholes to get things done. I've learned how to sit down and learn new computer systems quickly and efficiently and not be afraid of it. I've learned empathy for people and their conditions and how to help them and navigate with them. Chances are what you've learned from your career is something incredibly translatable. When I think of Bram Stoker writing Dracula, that theater manager, you know what he learned? He learned what makes an audience scared, what makes an audience laugh, what makes an audience want to come back for more. Where do things go too far? Where are things not pushed far enough for their enjoyment? And then he wrote Dracula. You see, he learned, he knows. This is what you know. You have a whole pile of this. This is the true gold in your experience, not the number of years, not the accreditations or the certificates. Yeah, that's all great stuff to get you in the door at another job just like the one you have now. What else did you learn? Really get clear on that. And then you'll know, I am a perfect fit for this new thing that I want to jump into. Because I've taught myself this. I've learned this. There you go. So I hope that I gifted you today with at least 3, 4, maybe 5 nuggets of wisdom if I'm lucky. And you're starting to really feel like, yeah, this is possible. I'm going to do this. Will you please take the next step if this is you? What is that? Can you do it like right after you finish listening to this? What's the delay, right? Now. Strike while the iron is hot. Actually, no. There's something else I'd like you to do right after you finish listening. If you love this show, by the way, it is brand new. Meaning, Nobody in the world knows about this. The fact that you're listening, that's phenomenal. You're an early adopter to the Me School podcast. Please take a screenshot of this particular episode and forward it to a friend or post it on social. Say, hey, I just listened to this. I thought it was pretty awesome. You should check it out. That would mean worlds upon worlds upon worlds to me. Likewise, just give it a rating on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher. Put some stars up or write a few comments. Those two things would be phenomenal, and I would feel so much gratitude for you. With that, I will be wrapping up today's episode. Lots of love to you all as we go forward into more episodes of Me School. Oh, we're going to cover so many interesting topics. Every week, I plan to kind of take you into another area of your self-growth, your self-awareness. Some of these teachings come directly from me. Some are going to be coming from experts that I'm looking at. We're going to go all over the place. Some of them very, very woo-woo. Some of them very, very practical. Yeah, it's whatever flicks my bick. So stick with me, subscribe. And until next week, lots and lots of love to you guys. Please take care. Let me know if you love the show, summer@flowdreaming.com. And until next time, lots of love. Hi, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, then I'd like you to consider what having private mentoring with me would be like. You see, I accept a small number of people each year for private coaching. The question is, what do you want to make? Who do you want to become? We can program and shape any area of yourself or your life. Imagine right now what you would be doing if you had no fear. Imagine how your life would look if there were no patterns and blocks repeatedly tripping you up. Imagine if you were fully healed in your heart, body, and mind. Imagine if you also had a map to your success and you could follow it with ease and flow. Well, I look into you and into your life, and I feel where you're going and know where the road is open and where it's blocked. I help you make the very best decisions based on what's coming up for you. I'll also show you exactly what I do day to day to succeed in my personal and business life, and we can create a copycat plan for you. So if you're game, you can fill out an application on my website for private coaching. Just go to flowdreaming.com/coaching, and then let's talk. The time to go for it is now. So let's just get this started. Just reach out to me at my website, flowdreaming.com, and I'll get right back with you.